Olaf, like you've seen, I've already gotten everything ready. It's a 60 gram white that I've divided into 30 grams, 15. I'll leave all the measurements in the description below when I'm finished. And I forgot what that was. With all this hustle and bustle. See, okay, that's a 10. Got some for his arms and for his hair. Some black for his buttons, and then I've got 2 feet, and I've got some orange for his nose. So let's put everything underneath our little bowl. Got a little bowl so that it doesn't dry out. I'm just going to put it off to the side, and we will start with his feet first. So there's the 2 little feet. I'm going to add some CMC Tylo. It's going to help to stabilize and to harden feet so that it can carry the weight of Olaf. So I'm just going to open that up. I apologize to everybody that the feed did start a little bit early this afternoon. It was supposed to be 2:30, but it's really been a struggle to get everything set up. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Okay, so now I'm going to take my 2 pieces of 2 grams each. I'll place it in some Tylos. I'm going to add quite a lot. I'm just going to shake it off on the board so I can show you that I'm really adding a lot. Because these 2 feet need to carry the weight of the entire body, so they need to be strong and dry by the time that we do add the body. Just move to that side. Yeah, that looks better. So I've added some CMC Tyler to that foot. Let's add some CMC Tyler to this foot. I apologize that I can't see any of the comments because I am mirroring it off my laptop so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, for feet, I'm just going to roll 2 little balls. That's 1. That's 2. That one looks a little bit bigger than that one. I'm just going to take something flat. I like to use the flat surface of the CMC towel. Just put them together. I'm just going to flatten them to make sure. Okay, that one is a little bit bigger. The scale is a little temperamental. It doesn't like to weigh 2 grams, 3 grams. Let's see. Let's just roll that one up again. And better. Let's flatten them. Make sure that they are same height, so that when we do put the body on top, that it doesn't tumble. It's okay. Now I've got 2 feet. I'm just going to use a little bit of water. This is just clean water. I'm going to use a brush. I always add a batch of water on. Just going to add some water. Because the CMC Tyler acts as glue, so it will activate the glue. And we're just going to set that aside to dry. Okay, the next piece we are going to do the body. This is 30 grams of fondant, which we're also going to turn into gum paste. So I'm just going to use quite a lot of CMC Tyler, as you can see. That looks like a gram. So I'm going to add the CMC Tyler to my fondant to turn it into gum paste. And it's going to dry and harden. So I'm just going to work that through. To create the body. I just want to make sure there's no cracks. I can already feel the CMC Tyler activating. It's the bugger working with white. We're working on the bottom part of his body. It's 30 grams. 30 grams of... the cold weather is not helping. Okay, so there's the bottom part. I'm going to flatten that as well, just a little bit. Make sure that it's going to fit onto my feet. So I've got the bottom part. Just shape from the side. I'm just going to flatten it a little bit. I'm not going to stick it onto the feet just yet. I first want those feet to dry completely. You can see there's the bottom part of his body. Because this is going to dry quite fast, I'll have to add his two buttons on the bottom. So I'm just going to take that off the feet. Oops. Just stick those two together again. So there's the feet part. So then that would be, we're going to add the buttons. What I'm going to use for buttons are two black edible poles. See? Little black edible poles. So what I'm going to do is just make a cavity for one, make a cavity for the other one. Use a little bit of water inside, and then I'm just going to add my little poles to create his buttons. That's what it's going to look like. Still the bottom, but I'm going to place it back on that so that it dries on the feet. That's what it looks like. Just not try and lift things up everywhere. So I've got the bottom part. Let's just flatten that out again. So now we're ready for the next part of his body. And that is going to be, just make sure, is 10 grams. So I'm going to take another 10 grams. Add Tyler. You'll see that I'm adding a lot of CMC Tyler to these body parts and these pieces because I need them to dry quite rapidly because I'm stacking them on top of each other. If you've got the time, you can just leave them to dry on its own and then stack it when everything is completely dried. But I know most of us don't have the time to wait for things to settle down to dry. So this is going to be, it's 10 grams, the second part, the upper torso, actually his torso. So let's just mix all the CMC Tyler in. Piece is going to go on there. You'll notice that I'm not sticking it on just yet, so I'm going to take the lid again and just flatten that again. Top of each other, so that's going to be his. I don't want to shift the feet because it looks like he's tumbling. Let's take the feet off. I've already marked the feet so we can take it off. So that is the top part of his body. Let's just give it just shaping it. So that part also needs a button. Just going to stick that on. It's already sitting on. I'm going to use my brush again. I'm using water because the CMC Tyler acts as glue. So let's put the other piece on. So there's the top part of his body. Just going to add another cavity for another button. a bit of water. Don't use too much water because these pills are edible and they will bleed. So let's pop that in there. So now he's got his snowman's got all his buttons. Okay, so that's basically the easy part of this of Olaf is basically his body. Let's just stick the feet together again, so they can dry, and we can. They're quite hard by now, so I think we can add the body onto the feet. Don't use too much water. We are trying to activate the CMC Tyler, the glue. You can actually see the glue starting to activate. I always check from the side when I do add body parts, and stacking to make sure that it doesn't tilt to the front. So always make sure that you look at your figurines 360 degrees. That looks like the body. So there's Olaf's body. We've got Olaf's body. So now we're going to put him aside so he can dry. Let's just make sure that he's not tilting. So now we're going to work with the head. For the head, we've got between 13 and 15 grams. Let me just make sure. Yes, I've got a 15 gram piece. To this piece, I'm not going to add as much CMC Tyler as I did to the body, because we still need to shape and form the head, not like the body that we immediately roll them and stack them. Just put that at the back. You can see him. Let's put it there. Oh, still getting used to the camera and to a. Okay, so there's the body. And I'm going to add a little bit of CMC Tyler to the head part of Olaf. It looks like a little bit. I cannot tell you exactly how much. It depends on how big it is. In my Fondant 1 class, I do discuss this in detail on how to correctly use CMC Tyler. So I took all the CMC Tyler and I'm picking up all the squilly pieces. I'll just get that off the board. Okay, so now we've got the head piece. I'm just working the CMC Tyler into my fondant, which is now gum paste. It's not fondant anymore. Now we've created gum paste. So I'm going to roll a little ball, just like when we did with the body. Just have to make sure that my fingers are clean. So there's the head piece. Okay. So now I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to roll this part. And it's going to look like that. If you turn it around, I think you can already see Olaf's head. So there's Olaf's head. Let's just see how it fits on his body. It looks like it's the right size. So I'm just going to get a nice nose shape at the top. See at the top. That's what it looks like from the side. If you turn it to the side, that's what it looks like. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a knife tool just there. I'm going to show you from the side now. Just creating his mouth. Oh, the sun is not helping, is it? Let's just see if I bring it forward. So there's the mouthpiece. Turn it from the side, and that's what it looks like. So all I did with the head was take this tool and I just placed it in there to create that cavity and to give it that look. just to shape the mouth, I'm going to take a stool and just make almost like dimples on the sides. Looks like that. I'm just going to take my finger, like I'm trying to wipe away the dimple. Gives it that look. And using this tool, I'm just going to give it more shape. You see, by giving it the dimples, it kind of creates a cheek on the side. I'm going to use this tool again, creating a dimple, and then as if you're correcting the dimple. You see, that creates that, as if it's got cheeks. You do the dimples on the side, it creates structure to the face. So I'm just going to rub those again. We'll see what happens when I do those. So once we're done with that, I'm just going to go in with the stool. And just widen the mouth a little bit. Straighten that piece well with the teeth. The two little teeth need to go. There it is. Okay. Well, we're done with that. Just have a look at it. Yeah, that looks so cute. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do, thank you Cece. I'm going to create his eyes, and I'm going to use the bone tool, and I'm going to just do the first one to get my marking. Yes, right there. And another one. You'll see that the fondant, the gum paste is now quite hard. So there's my eyes. I've created the cavities. Oh, the sun is not helping, is it? I've created the eyes. And I'm going to create a cavity for the nose. Let's just lift it up a little bit. The nose should be around about there. So I'm going to create a cavity for the nose. For my eyes. This is open. I'm just going to take this and shape the mouth a little more. Side. Okay, sorry for the sun. This is my first live, so I'll do better next time. I think his face is done. There it is. Almost looks like the mask from Scream. Okay, just going to fix the eyes. Now for my mouth, I don't like to use black because it just hardens Olaf's face, and he's not a mean character. So in the end, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with his mouth. For now, I'm just going to leave that to let it dry. Just fit it onto our body and see what it looks like. Let's create a little cavity on the back that will behave like a neck. And I want to put it down, so I'm going to flatten it. Let's just put it there for 5 seconds. I'm going to take a toothpick, put some water on the toothpick, put it in, just to support his head. I'm not finished with the head yet, so I don't want to stick it on just yet while I'm still busy working with it. So I'm just going to fit it on. Oh, that's cute. Let's see what that looks like. It's weird because it still doesn't have its features. I'm just going to smooth out. The eyes are going to go. Now the nose looks skewed, not really. Just going to shift the nose a little bit. There we go. With his head. Now we need to give his face some features, and then he's going to start looking like Olaf. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do, I think, let's color. We're going to add some color to his eye sockets and to his mouth. For that, I'm going to use Brilliant Blue powder. Oops, that side. It's rocking with Brilliant Blue. Take a very fine brush. That's kind of the blue that we want. So I'm going to take the head off for a moment. I'm going to take the blue and just add some blue in his mouth. I said a lot of people use black. I don't like the black. It really makes his face look stern and unhappy. So I'm taking the blue and added it to his mouth. A little bit on that side. Now starting to look a little bit more like Olaf. I'm going to do exactly the same in the eye sockets. I don't want it to be too dark. So I'm just going to take the brush. Just color the sockets inside. Now it's really starting to look like Olaf. Get up to the edges. Still think his nose is a bit skew. It's quite challenging working upside down. Okay, so now we've got the blue painted. Just all that. going to use white for his eyeballs. Let's just get a little bit of white. Oh, I forgot about the ball eyeballs. I'm just going to get 2 even balls, little white balls, to create his eyes with. Put a little bit of Tylose in it. Now, to get 2 equal balls, I'm just going to roll this out. Not too thin. And I'm going to use ovals. I'm going to use a small oval tool or circle and just cut out 2 ovals, and then they should be the same size. Oh, that's a little bit too small. Just see, that should actually work. Let's test it. I'm going to take the bone tool, the big side. Just put it in there. Yes, it is a little bit too small. Let's take that out. Let's see if we roll it out a little bit thicker. It's got a little bit. So let's roll it out just a little bit thicker. We need a little bit bigger eyes. So there's one. It to me still looks exactly the same. Let's just roll 2 balls. Maybe that'll work. Let's fit it in the socket. There we go. That's perfect, don't you think? There's his eyes. I'll take that piece out so I can measure it. The next one. Now we've established we need 2 ovals or a circle. You can use any shape to your measurements. So there's 1, 2. Now we should have 2 equal size eyeballs. There's 1. Just roll that one up. Let's see. There we go. Okay, now we need to use water to stick it in. Be very careful because there's blue powder inside and you don't want to activate the powder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bowl, not too much water. Just add it in there. Another one. Not too much. Just want to moisten that eye socket. Take my eyeballs, put them in there. Voila. And Olaf's got eyes. He still looks scary though, eh? He looks scary. Okay, I'm just going to pat that in. Now I need black for the eyes. So we're going to do exactly the same. I'll just get my black. And get 2 equal sizes. What you can use is a nozzle, a very small nozzle. What I'm going to do is just do my roll-up technique again. This time I'm just really going to roll it out very flat, like paper thin. Oops, he lost his head. I'm going to cut another oval. I'm just going to cut the oval in half. To create 2 small, tiny little balls. Okay, there's one. Let's hope this one is the same size. You can also use edible poles to do the eyes. But let me show you with fondant as well. Okay, let's get a perfect ball. Black tends to dry out very quickly, so it's quite challenging to get these little balls. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back side of my plunger and push down on them. And that will create little circles for my eyes. Just roll that one again. Oh, this little piece just does not want to work. Go, back side of the plunger, let's flatten that one. That will have to do. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Okay, so these are two little for the eyes. I'll take a brush again. Be very careful with adding too much water on any part of anything, especially when you're working with black. Black tends to bleed and it loves to bleed. So I'm just going to moisten the eyeball. I'm going to pick up black eye. Let's choose the hook. Use the hook. I'm just going to place that on his eyeball. He's got one eye. Let's take the other one. Oh, this one is just stubborn as hell. Okay. Come out as nice as I want to do. I just want to fix that. This is the reason I prefer to work with the little balls instead of the black. I'm just going to take that off. Let's just create a new eye. I'm just going to pat that one in. So it's got one eye. And let's hope we can get the same size. That one looks a little bit. See why it's so much better to just use these little balls. I just find that they're a little bit too small for these eyes. But I use them basically for all my eyes. Now we're going to struggle with one eye. Is that where we're going to struggle today? That's just the problem with black. Black tends to, even if you use black fondant, it just tends to dry out so quickly. And you really struggle to get these little balls rolled. Let's pray. You know what, I'm going to use that one now. Okay, let's just eyeball. And there's Olaf's other eye. So now he's got eyes. Okay, but it's missing. What I'm going to add is, it's these minute, these little balls are so small. That's how small they are. We're going to add one to each eye. I'm just going to add one there. Again, very careful with water on the black. The white on there. That side of the eye. Another one to that eye. Just secure them. And putting the white in the corners of the eye really makes the face, softens the face and softens the eyes. That nose is really skewed. So Olaf's got eyes. He's looking so cute. Just going to tap them in there, make sure that everything is stuck. Let's see what he looks like assembled. I think he's looking pretty cute. So he just needs his nose, he needs eyebrows, and he needs his tooth, and then his arms. So let's get cracking. I don't even want to show you the back because my hands were dirty. So now his head is also blue at the back. So let's put him center stage. There we go. So let's put on his orange nose. So I've got this little piece of orange I'm going to create his nose with. Just get some more semi-tilo. Before I put in semi-tilo, I'm just going to measure how big of a nose we need. That's a bit big. I don't know, let's see. That actually looks perfect. I'm going to fix his head, don't worry. Okay, so that's the piece we're going to use. Bring a little bit of CMC Island. Let's just take this off board. CMC touch a little bit. Circle. I apologize for all the black everywhere. I'm just going to roll out his nose. There's his nose. If you really have the time and you want to, you can just take a tool and just add some texture to the nose. We have to add it to his face. So I'm going to use the bone tool again. Take, oh, look a little blue. We don't want blue everywhere. Take some water, not too much. Pop it in his nose cavity. And then just take a look. Voila, Olaf's got his nose. Let's just put it back on the head for now. Once it's dry, I will use a marker to do his brows. Now what we need is, we need to add his tooth. So we're going to need a very small little piece of white. After I've added his tooth, I will stick the head onto the body. But while I'm still working with the head, I'm not, let's just put him where you can see him. I'm not going to assemble him just yet. So for little teeth, and actually it just has one tooth. Okay, that should be. I'm going to use a piece, just put a little bit of tylose in it. Activate the tylose. I'm going to use a piece like this. Looks like this. Just take this off and turn him around. I'm going to step inside his mouth. Like that. So let's just add some to that. Take the head to stick it inside his mouth. Just make sure it's in the middle. Just get it off my finger. And initially it's going to look like that. I'm just going to get a tool. Make sure it's stuck. And then I'm going to just bend it. Like you can see, it is just a little bit long. So I take my little scissors and just cut it off to the length that I want. And he's got his tooth. That's quite easy. I'm just going to blend it properly on the top. So now he's got his tooth. I think I should just move along there a bit back. Yeah, that's better. There we go. Oops. He's got his little toothy. Look at that face. It is so cute. Oh, he actually looks so sad. Shame. Dankie, Anna. Okay. Now he needs his arms and needs his hair. I don't want to stick the head before I've done the brows. But I don't like to draw brows with edible marker on anything unless it is completely dried, and this is not completely dried yet. So that is the last thing I'll do, is like literally these brows on. Oh man, he looks so cute. Don't you think that looks so amazing? Look at him. Oh. Do you notice that the blue doesn't make Olaf look so, the face doesn't look so hard. That's why I like to use blue instead of black that most people use. And a lot of people use gums or fondant to fill in the mouth areas and to do the lining of the eye socket. I like to use the blue. It's just so much softer. Okay, focus. There we go. It's just so much softer. Look at that. Look at that tooth. Okay, let's get cracking with the arms. So for the arms, you can either use toothpicks and just do it on toothpicks, or we can do it on wire, which technique is the technique I'm going to show you today. Let's just get this table all cleaned up. So we are going to use the wire to create the arms. I've already made brown with arms. The toothpicks, to me, when it comes to Olaf, it's a little bit too thick. You can use it, but his arms are brighter, so it's quite thin. So I prefer to use wire instead. I think this is a 24 gauge, 24, 5 or 6 would even work. It's not very thick. So I'm going to cut off 2 pieces of wire for his arms. I know it's very long, and you'll understand in a minute why. So let's get another piece of wire. So we've got 2 pieces of wire, and this is going to be for his arms. So I've already got some brown. Take a bit of brown. I am going to put it in a tiny little bit of tiners because I do need to stick onto my wire. So just a tiny bit of CMC tiler. I do sell this in the shop at giadoris.co.za. You can go to www.giadoris.co.za. I will leave all the information in the description. I've added, not too much. There should be enough for both these arms actually. So what I'm going to do is very sticky. Just going to make sure that the let's just move you aside, Mr. Olaf. So there's my brown. I'm just going to roll it out. Maybe we should add a little bit. That looks a little bit too short. I think next time I do live, I should do it in the morning when the sun is high, because the sun is literally straight in my face right now. Well, that's how we learn, isn't it? So next time we'll do better. Okay, so I'm rolling. So what I'm doing is just rolling a little worm. We go, that should do. I'm going to cut it in half. Just see where's off. I'm not too worried that that is thick. I'm not really going to make it thick at all. So I've got one on. Tools. I'm going to take my wire. I'm just going to muscle the wire. And that's why I cut off a long piece, because I need a piece that is dry and that I can hold on to. So now I'm going to take my little worm. I'm just going to wiggle that onto my wire. So make sure where the wire is, that it's carrying the entire hand, so it is at the front. So I'm going to put it down and just flatten that piece. Let's do the next one. Leaving a piece so I can still hold onto a piece that's not wet. My next little worm. Making sure that it's straight to the front, so that it's carrying the entire arm. I'm going to flatten that. That one was a bit bigger, so let's just push that one to the front. Okay, so then we've got our two arms on wires. So now we need to create fingers and add a little bit of texture to the hand as well. So I'm going back into my scissors, using my little tiny little scissors. I'm going to cut 1, 2. It doesn't really have to be neat and tidy, it's a branch. Put down the fingers. I'm just going to create a hand so that it actually looks like a hand. Oopsie. Here's the first hand. That's what it looks like. I'm going to take the scissors and just create some texture on my branch. So all I'm going to do is take the scissors. It's going to create a texture of branches, like it looks like a branch. Okay, So let's do the next one. Okay, let's just get in front of the camera. There we go. So we've got 1, 2. Apologies, I couldn't see. I was trying to aim it to the camera. Texture to this one as well. So take the scissors and just now creating bark. And there we go, 2 arms. Let's just make sure that they're both same length. This one is a little bit taller. I'll go that one. Scissors and just cut that piece off. The arms are the same length. And what we are going to do now is let's just mark on Olaf where we're going to place his arms. Let's do one on that side. On that side. Okay. So now we're going to give him his arms. Take that. Very careful with the water. It's actually very long. You can actually cut that off. What is up with you today? Okay, so we're going to take pliers. You can even use a tweezer if you want. And we are going to place it in. Just wet where the arm connects. Here we go. Hello, Olaf. Go. So on the other side, let's wet this piece on his arm. I'm just going to turn it to my side for a second and we can use that to push it in. Oh, the wires are crossing. A little bit of water. There we go. Olaf has got arms. Yeah. Look at him. The man has got arms. Pretty, pretty, pretty. So all he still needs are the pieces of hair on top. And then his brows. And then little Mr. Olaf is done, 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 done. Look how cute he looks. Oh, the sun is killing us. Okay, so for the hair, I'm just going to create cavity on top. Just remember we haven't stuck the head on yet. So all I did was create a little cavity on top of his head. I think we can stick the head on. So I'm just going to wet everything. And there. Always look from the side when you're assembling your figurines to make sure. Oh man, look at him. He's the cutest thing ever. Ta-da! So I just need his hair. I'm going to take a little bit of brown. Put some CMC tiler on. Because I can't do this with fondant. It's not very stable, so we need gum paste. So I just put CMC tilers in, and now it is more stable. So I'm going to roll that again, a little sharp piece like that, because the sharp piece is going to go inside the head. Oops, but it's too long. So I'm going to take this piece. I'm just going to cut it shorter, flatten it at the top. Okay. Just wait it a little bit. Just putting it in a little bit of water. And add it to the cavity in his head. That's what it's going to look like. From the front. And then we're just going to take the scissors. Cut. Cut. I don't want to fiddle with his hair too much because it's very wet. And Olaf is done. Cha, 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 cha. That's it. All he still needs is his brows. He's so cute, people. I really struggled to get this on live going, but looking at him, I am glad I was tenacious enough to get this done, even though we did it too early. Okay, now what I need is black to create these. I've got these markers. These are double markers, but I've used these so many times. I love this one. It's got a very, very fine point. Oh, I'm going to have to get used to the camera. You see, it's got a very, very fine point. With that, I'm going to draw on these eyebrows. And like I have mentioned before, I would prefer that Olaf dries completely before I draw eyebrows on. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to try and put them on. I have to really be so careful because the gum paste is still wet. So apologies. I'm really just doing this for the tutorial. Preferably wait until your gum paste is completely dry before drawing on it with edible markers or any sharp tools. Oh, I would hate to spoil him. Not the best looking ones, but it's there. Here we go.